I've learned in government that sometimes you have to get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. And today I want to talk about the balance that has to be maintained with criminal justice reform and public safety. Sometimes they are in conflict of one another. It shouldn't be a or, it has to be an and. And we shouldn't over-incarcerate, overcharge, over-prosecute Black and brown communities, but also there's a real thing called Black on Black crime that we are experiencing in the city of Philadelphia. So what do I mean? I've been on State Road, I've visited prisons where there might be 60 to 80 people on a pod. You might have 7, 8, 10 pods at that prison. And the uniqueness of it, the common denominator of it, they're young, between the ages of like 18 and 27, and they look just like your brother, your sister, your cousin, your dad. So I want to help them to find their better selves. In fact, between the committees and city council, we freed more people from incarceration than Harriet Tubman. I kid you not. So on that side of the ledger, we are trying to do our part to reduce prison population, to reform the justice system so that it works well for us. The problem that we face for every one of those guys and women that I see incarcerated, there is a potential victim. That somebody got shot, somebody got robbed, someone felt the brunt of that criminal activity. And yep, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but everybody up there isn't innocent. So the other side of that is that I buried a good friend of mine Friday. We were at a cemetery in Upper Darby. 12 o'clock, the service was over, and another service came in right as we were leaving. According to the news, in that service, people rode up, shot 2 people. In the funeral procession, in warring nations in ancient times, even the combatants on the battlefield allowed people from the other nation to pick up their wounded and their dead and carry them off to be properly disposed of. We in Philadelphia didn't do that on Friday. Even more personal, because a lot of times people believe, oh, Councilman lives in bubble wrap and in a cocoon where he doesn't experience these day-to-day real-life public safety issues. Well, my daughter and my grandkids were going to track practice. I won't say what community, I won't say where, but it wasn't my district. So my grandkids were dropped off to do their workout. Their mother discovered that she didn't have water. So she left them at track practice, went across the street to a convenience store to get their water. In that process, her urban instincts looked and saw a van with a person with a gun on the side of the van, pulling around, slowly creeping into the parking lot of the convenience store, where some young kids, most of them between the ages, I'm gonna guess, 16 to 18, were there. And they were literally hunting them at a convenience store where my daughter and possibly could have been my grandkids were going to shop. She panicked, kept her head, I won't say she panicked. She told the store owner what was going down, told the other customers what was happening. They did not even have a key to lock the door. So that if the shooting started, some of those participants in the gun battle were going to come in that store. They started looking for back doors, couldn't find ways out of that convenience store. Fortunately, for whatever reason, and we don't know, God knows, the hunters didn't think that it was a good time to get the hunted because they started walking down the street. pulling away from the convenience store that they post up at. The van followed them. My daughter doesn't know what happened to the hunted and the hunters. All she knew is that she had to get back to her kids every day. Thousands of Philadelphians have to make those split-second battlefield decisions. So when we talk about criminal justice reform, we also have to have tough, difficult conversations about what we face every day in our neighborhood. Cindy Bass, a colleague of mine, has a slogan. It goes, "What do you do when the shooter lives with you?" I think that's profound and prolific. We have to have tough conversations, sometimes with our own family members, about their lifestyle in our community. And we have to be willing, when we see on the news a 73-year-old was beaten to death with a parking cone, walking down the street doing nothing but existing. So we have to learn to have difficult conversations, difficult choices. No, and literally, I'm gonna end on this. I'm at a discussion at a dinner, and two of my good friends got into a heated pitched battle about criminal justice reform over incarceration and public safety, having to traverse battlefields in our neighborhoods. So once again, it's not or, it's and. And we need to deal with charging in our communities. And we have to be safe. Grandma needs to be able to sit on her porch sipping lemonade. So these are the difficult conversations we have to look in the mirror and have.